making a video. AntiBullshitMan. You know, he really is a friend, but you know, it's just an illustration of how the very subject he's on is this whole pragmatism and what you can accept in terms of failures, in terms of other people and other stuff, and pragmatic versus principled, that kind of crap. I still can't fucking hear. Anyway, really, I hope I'm not, yeah, you know, permanently deaf because I went swimming. Anyway, who cares? It's worth it, right? Yeah, right. Anyway, so, yeah, I mocked this conversation as sort of some sort of, like, superhero backseat driving. Whatever. The Flash is telling Batman how to be a better Batman or something, you know. It is kind of ludicrous, in my opinion, to sit there and waste time with this nonsense. But in a sense, this is the strategy. So it's stuff I have to think about all the time. I mean, you know, the Unabomber was a very successful philosopher, right? Not because he has a brilliant philosophy, right? It's just a bunch of crap, a bunch of Nietzsche even, rewritten. A bunch of stupid commentary from an idiot. But yes, you know, his strategy to get it heard was much more brilliant than mine, of course. So, but that's just the way the world works, right? So, yeah, obviously I'm not going to do that. I mean, it's not obvious. I can say, oh, obviously I'm not going to do that. Okay, so some people, especially nihilists, this wouldn't be obvious because they would say, well, go for it, buddy. Where I would say, no, it's just not worth it. That's too muddy, that's too dirty, too stinky, too smelly. That's a vagina I will not suckle on. Yeah, no, not doing it. Alright, so yeah, so I'm playing a personal game in the sense that I'm really not, you know, the Man of Steel. I'm not, I'm not a superhero. I don't have any superpowers whatsoever. And so, I'm just this little mortal weasel of a beast, you know, trying, you know, at least I'm trying to, you know, climb the ladder and do the tricks and all the other kind of stuff and not just, you know, push through the humus in the dirt. You know, I'm trying to do better than that, but I have to do better than that in the configuration that I am as a psychology and maintain something called sanity. And so that's the bottom line is that when I say things like I'm doing the best I can, and it apparently is the best I can do right at the moment, and I am contemplating strategies and all this kind of shit, but I mean none of them look suitable for me personally, for my neuroses, my psychology. This navigation seems a little complicated at the moment. Just living. I mean, there's so much. I have just the list of things to do. Incredible. And I just, you know, I can't fly. I can't, you know, and I got, you know, I get Lyme disease every 2 weeks. I mean, it's tough here in Mendham. And as nice as it is, I admit I have it. So I have it good in so many ways, but it's still tough. Life is tough. Alright, well, enough of that shit. So anyway, it's all this pointless, I don't know what this is. I mean, some of it has some sort of philosophical merit, I suppose, but I just don't think it really gets to the point. And I don't think all of this analysis is at all relevant to the simple point I'm making, which is this is an undeveloped philosophical area. It just hasn't even been really messed with in any kind of hardball way. And you're rolling it in a place of where there's no path. You know, there's just a bunch of, it's like the unbeaten path. Okay, it's really a gnarly path, and you got to fight through it. You got to cut through it. You got to do all this shit to make it into a path, a real path. And I suppose I'm just saying that it's a little different for the guy who's pushing through. he's got to kind of weave through and say, well, does it go this way or should it go that? You know, he's got to do all this figuring while he's doing all this hacking, doing all this work, where, yeah, the followers will be able to manicure it really good and make this a highway eventually. But, you know, that's not the stage we're at. We're not at the highway stage. So I'd almost say we're not at the war stage. We're not at a lot of these other kind of stages. We're at the stage where this is a conversation maturing, not matured. I would argue that I've matured a lot of it. Consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, addiction, or consumption, reproduction, addiction, and parasitism, which, you know, crap, life is crap. I think that's pretty good sloganism. And it's damn accurate, its description. And, you know, these conversations with these nihilists have some value in the sense that you, well, first you reveal their desperation. Maybe I'll play some of the second part of the... I mean, I just got to the part where Logic Rolls the Dice was using the, well, the universe doesn't say so. You know, where he's like, I mean, the ultimate straw man, right? Where he's presuming that I think, the universe has an opinion, and because the universe hasn't expressed its opinion, therefore, there can't possibly be any rule because the universe didn't make it. I mean, if you can't get sublimation for the God expectation, I mean, that's just so funny. They're basically saying, well, God's not saying anything, so there's no rules, right? There's no morality, there's no ethics, there's no truth, because God didn't say so. And you're like, what are you talking about? There's no God, idiot. We're God. Yo, we're the only thing doing the thinking in this universe. We're the only ones that can understand any of this shit, you idiot. Somebody else is going to tell you this truth. It has to come from some other brain that's analyzed it, idiot. Evolution, gravity, all these things, they're not written in a book in the universe somewhere. We had to discover them, shithead. There aren't truths written somewhere. You can't go somewhere and find the truth written. Well, anyway. I'm saying, and that level of desperation, in my opinion, does validate my critique that all these people are is desperate to validate a philosophy. And for you not to even understand that, you know, that all the religious people don't believe in God. They're defending a way of life. They're defending a social acceptance. They want it to be socially acceptable. The nihilists want nihilism to be socially acceptable by most people or a lot of people so they can feel perfectly comfortable being imbeciles. Selfish imbeciles. Self-indulgent, gluttonous imbeciles. That's it. The truth's not any bigger than that. They want to keep eating meat. They want to keep doing this. They want to keep doing that. And this is the way to do it. Is to have everybody just accept this silly notion, this silly Randian notion that we can all just be the asshole we were born to be and everything will work out just fine. Anyway. Alright, so the other thing AntiBullshitMan does is he uses all these fucking strangled verbiage to say simple things, and it's just really irritating. So, you know, it's kind of proof that we're not brothers because, you know, obviously, you know, it's just too anti-me. Yeah. Before I even try to deal with the out of left field paraphrasing of my post, please engage with this paragraph directly. I mean, it's just, you know, anyway, out of left field. Please, yes, you are critiquing my handling of the baton in the race. But anyway, furthermore, if people don't embrace... Okay, so this is his quote. So we're going to have to read this from his blog post that I was going to do eventually. But yes, it is long and tedious, so... And some of it's just... Well, whatever, it's redundant also. Furthermore, if people embrace meta-ethical idealism... So now I have to figure out what that means. But oh no, on irrealism, sorry. Alright, meta-ethical irrealism. So now he throws a phrase like that in there and you're going like, oh, what the fuck now? Okay. So they don't believe in a solid reality, but they believe in some sort of ethical stuff that's like personal. Like, I like pastel colors. Yeah. So That's what it means. It means you like pastels, and you think everybody should like pastels. So that's a meta-ethical irrealist. And meta-ethical irrealistic thinks pastels are better. Not in principle, but they are better. Simply because they're trying to come up with rationalizations with which to run away from moral responsibility. Why would they subject themselves to all these counter-arguments on the internet? Well, because that's sort of what, why would Christians defend Christianity? Because they need to, because other people are listening and they're going to be convinced that they're idiots. If they don't make a counter-argument, somebody will say, gee, that sounds kind of logical. I arrived on Earth, I had sensations, they're good and bad. Yeah, that makes, other people are sentient and they're having good and bad. Yeah, that makes sense. Right? So they need to hear the counter-argument that the universe doesn't say so. So they have to hear the counter-argument. But your brain is just configurations of atomic structure. How could that do anything? Oh, but wait a minute. It is doing something, isn't it? Curious. Anyway. So obviously they have to make the counter-argument, or all the imbeciles won't believe in nihilism. If you just want to do what you feel like doing, you'll stay offline and simply do it. Well, that's just stupid, because obviously you can't, like gay marriage or something. You have to fight for some of these rights, and people have to believe this shit for you to have your freedom to do it. So if you're a pedophile, as these fucking, obviously that's what the nihilists are, is pedophiles. And they want to molest children, so they want to get everybody so they don't give a shit about anything, because they say kids don't have any intrinsic properties, they're not fucking worth anything. Go ahead, molest the fuck out of it. Who cares? Feelings, it's gonna cry. So fucking what? Fucking harder. Right? How the hell does some stranger uploading videos in favor of robust realism do anything to prevent you from carrying on with your selfishness offline? Well, in your private life. Well, because your private life is often public, you know, and some people just don't give a shit like me, who kind of want to make private lives all public, because that's get rid of all this dishonesty, all this pretense that we're something other than fucking masturbating monkeys, which, yes, that's primarily all I do. This is just the little extra stuff that falls off. But anyway, so yeah, they can't do their stuff they want to. Look, they obviously, you know, this is, you don't sit there and deny your sentient experience and the obvious hypocrisy, right? So we've already nailed them on the obvious hypocrisy, all right? I matter. What I feel does matter every time I'm going for the Novocaine, and somehow when it's a them, I don't see any importance in Novocaine being applied. So suffering over there is not important. Suffering here is important. That on its face cannot make any fucking sense. So their own hypocrisy is obvious. And like Antikondova, they're just saying, what's wrong with hypocrisy? Isn't that logical? Isn't contradicting yourself perfectly sensible and reasonable? Especially when it's convenient as fuck. Especially when it means you get a bigger piece of cheese. I mean, it's so fucking obvious that, yes, their agenda will be stifled if people are making arguments like, holy shit, you're a fucking debased, moronic, fucktarded, selfish cunt. They don't want that on their t-shirt. If you want to be selfish, you'll be selfish. Well, again, this is, again, stupid. I want to be selfish, so fuck you. I mean, I really, 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 really do want to be a selfish cunt. I love it. It's fun. But I can't be, because I have obligations. Little kitties need their food. I have to go out in the rain, in the snow, in the shit, in the crud, and I have to worry about that. Yeah, because I don't get to be a selfish cunt. Because I'm smart enough to figure out that won't work. Shit'll get hurt. Stuff will suffer. Duh! So, I mean, right there, this is just, I mean, how can you use all this complex, meta-ethical, irrealism, all this fucking verbiage, and then you say something just so goddamn stupid? If you want to be selfish, you'll be selfish. I mean, that's just fucking stupid and vacuous and vacant. Obviously, you need a whole structure of bullshit to maintain the ideology of Randian selfishness. You need to create a whole giant... That's why her book was so fucking thick, is she had to cram so many straw man deceptive lies into it to make it all seem reasonable that selfishness works. It just doesn't follow that you'll feel compelled to justify it to a few dozen strangers on YouTube who will never have power over you. Yes, but we're representative of the power. So again, you're just playing this game like there's no point in talking politics with a guy in the bar, or there's no point in doing this. Of course there's a point. This is what you do. You know, by your argument, I mean, Nietzsche sold, what, 50 copies of his book in his own day? 50. So, you know, yeah, so sometimes it ain't about what happens today, it's about what's going to happen tomorrow. And if you didn't write the damn thing, then you really would have been fucked in terms of working. Power. The power isn't today. You know, power is something that builds up over time. This is will poisoning, pure and simple. Well, you say it is. I'm saying it's a completely accurate to sit there and say, look, somebody's doing something that's completely idiotic. I mean, they're desperately using the argument from God didn't say so, and then, you know, when they don't even believe in God, and just all the ludicrous arguments like hypocrisy isn't contradiction. You know, you're just like looking at it and saying, what? You can't be that fucking crazy. But, you know, so they're using arguments that fucking desperate, and you're going to tell me that I'm well poisoning by pointing out the obvious, that is desperation. And we know why they're desperate is they're desperate because it's an inane and stupid philosophy, and the only way to maintain it's like religion, the only way to maintain it is through aggressive propaganda. And that's how religion maintains itself. Scare people. Metaphysical, that's like Anaconda, right? I mean, he's this huge fear-mongerer who argues against fear-mongering. I mean, it's just, that's just so preposterously fucking goddamn hypocritical, right? I mean, he calls people that, the tyrants are coming, and then he talks about how you're not allowed to cause people guilt or fear or any kind of sense of obligation. And then, but he knows what a tyrant is. And he knows how to label those fuckers. The commies are coming. Metaethical ideal, irrealist. I mean, it's just a weird word. Irrealist. Irrealists are here because they want to defend their genuine take on second-order ethics. So, whatever that even means. Second-order ethics. What's the second order? There's no intrinsic value. Outcomes don't matter in any absolute, ultimate, real sense. They're not arguing they can't detect the truth. They're arguing there is no value truth. That it would, in fact, there's an equal sign. Big giant pile of suffering, big giant pile of pleasure. There's an equal fucking sign between those two things in their opinion. There is no second order ethics. So, fuck you. And obviously they're not defending any second-order ethics. They're defending second-order emotionalism. They're saying, I have an emotional feeling. I love my mommy. Therefore, everybody should take care of my mommy. That's their ethics. Now, they're insipid, nepotistic, bigoted, insanely retarded ethics. You can't call those second-order ethics. You're insulting your own philosophy, okay, because you're a second-order ethicist. You're insulting your own philosophy by saying nihilists are second-order ethicists. You've just basically said, my own philosophy is shit. Just as realists do. Whatever. Some realists do. Second-order ethics would be social contract crap, and they're only meaningful if you're going to continue playing in the game that can't be played decently. There's no way to live a decent life. Life is stupid. If you're going to live it, though, yes, you have to live it with second-order ethics. This will take a while. Seriously, drop the ulterior motive conspiracy mongering. So again, this is like conspiracy mongering to point out it is intellectually vacuous to be a nihilist. At minimum, nihilists could accept and say, well, it certainly does appear that of all the shit in the universe, if something might have real value, it might be in that sentient creature having a sensation that sucks. That really might be something. I mean, I certainly don't have proof that the obviousness that we've all experienced of the absolute horror. Imagine having a surgeon sticking probes in you without any anesthesia. This happened on planet Earth. People had fucking tumors removed while conscious. This shit happened. They tied them down. Think about that for a minute, fuckers. These nihilist motherfuckers will tell you nothing's happening there. That ain't a bad event. That's serious stupidity. So don't tell me I'm a conspiracist because I'm saying nobody is that stupid. I'm saying it. They really aren't. I was never, even as dumb as I was when I was a little fucking kid just born, walking around going drilling on myself and shit, shitting in my own pants, pissing my pants. I wasn't that stupid. So there's no way they're that stupid. And the fact is, this is the ultimate philosophy of I don't give a fuck, I want. That's all this is. This is a defense of I'm fucking important. You're not. I'm a me, you're a them. That's all this is. And it's not conspiracy mongering to point out that these people are void of any willingness to. They're the ultimate bigot. The ultimate bigot. They are meists, and they are against anything that's not a them. You know, anything that ain't them, they're bigoted against. It makes zero sense for every conceivable angle. Well, I just pointed out some conceivable angles. Sorry that it makes a ton of fucking sense to me, shithead. On its face, no intelligent person could sit there and look at consciousness and say, I think it's a spoon. And it's not there, like in the Matrix. There is no spoon. Nobody, okay? The fact that they're so defiant and obnoxiously arrogant in their declaration that I'm quite certain that it really doesn't matter whether you suffer like motherfucking hell. How could you possibly? What fucking possible evidence would make you reach that conclusion? There's none. There's zero evidence defending the notion of some sort of absolute statement saying, I'm quite certain there's absolutely no difference between me feeling quite comfy and warm and satisfied and me having a nail shoved in my eye and being completely distracted by horrific pain. Those two states are exactly equal in terms of their qualitative substance. I'm just saying. You're saying it's conceivable that somebody could believe that and be at all rational in society, actually function. They don't sincerely believe that. They're just looking for rationalizations to excuse their own gratification. They have wants and desires that they know are fucking evil, and they want to act on them, and they're looking for an excuse to do it. The only time selfish people feel the impulse to justify anything is when a gun is pointed at them. The only time selfish people feel, well, let's call selfish people philosophical nihilists, feel the impulse to justify anything is when a gun is pointed at them. No. Clearly the gun is already pointed at them. They're in a preposterous minority where their icons all went insane. I don't think there's any sane nihilists in the philosophical record. Anyway, neither you nor your cohorts are that gun. Alright, so this implication again that somehow I'm not a threat to their philosophy, I think you can say that, but I think quite obviously they perceive me as a threat. So enough of this. So again, I just don't, so now I think I've addressed your point. I don't think it's a valid point. I think, like religion, I don't think people sincerely believe in hell. I think the fact of how they constantly sin, they don't even read the Bible, right? They understand that the religion has something to do with sending them to hell forever. And yet, most religious people haven't even read the fucking book. So here, somebody's told them, you're going to go to hell forever if you fuck up, if you don't follow the instructions, and they haven't even read the instruction manual. Now, you're telling me those people actually believe in this philosophically. I'm saying they don't believe in this at all philosophically. They have no even philosophical notion of this at all. It's a social construct. It's a fucking goddamn flag. It's the American flag. Okay, it's not a country. It's an idiotic symbol of an idea, of a concept. It has nothing to do with anything real they're defending. They're defending their psychological dependency. They're dependent on the existence of this morality and the existence of this social structure where we all believe in Jesus and we all... And it's all a bunch of fucking goddamn baby talk and silly agreements, superstitious, bizarre handshakes they've made with the world. Kind of thing. I don't know how to describe it, but it's all psychological crap. The agreement is meaningless. It's all about how we handshake. You know, that's this kind of thing. I mean, it's all psychology. This has nothing to do with philosophy. There's no philosophical religious people. They're fucking psychological basket cases. And so are nihilists. You're still stuck in the mindset where uploading videos on YouTube amounts to a valiant front seat driving. I'm only arguing that it's driving. Whether it's front seat, whatever it is, it's a kind of driving. You're saying to yourself, okay, I'm going to try to do something. And that's why I got on YouTube. I said, okay, I'll give this a shot. I have a philosophy, I have ideas, and those are the videos I made, right? I made rather comical videos, my first videos on YouTube, attempting to make entertainment videos that had commentary in them. And, you know, and then I decided not to be entertaining anymore. Because I said, it's just kind of useless. Nobody's paying attention anyway. So yeah, but that's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to, I tried to make an argument. I got out of the humus for a while and said, gee, I'll try to do this thing, you know, where you actually change something. I'll try. That's all I'm doing. I'm trying. You want to, and you're critiquing me trying. You're saying I'm not trying the right way. Well, okay, fine. Fuck you. I don't know. Your theory of how I should try, his theory is basically that I should suckle up to famous people, like maybe try to be the amazing atheist's best friend, and then at just the opportune moment, I stick the knife right in his head. And say, fuck you, I always hated you, you fat fucking pig. I don't know, something like that. I should do some sneaky little war maneuver, you know, to sneak my way into popularity and social relevance. And okay, fine, yeah, sneaking your way in is okay with me. I just can't, you know, I'm not a very good liar. I just frankly am not. I think it's going to be a hard sell for me to suckle up to anybody in any kind of sincere way where they're not going to say, you're just fucking with me, aren't you? Because I will be. Because I'll sincerely think they're a stupid, idiotic piece of shit, and I'm just going to be using them because they're popular. I mean, it's not only going to, I'm not only not going to be good at that, you know, I'm not going to feel good doing it. And explicitly, and where publishing cold hard text makes for backseat driving. Well, I'm not saying that publishing text is backseat driving. I'm saying whether you did this in a video or you did this in text, it's still backseat driving. You're just fucking critiquing my best effort at being the best me I can be and saying I'm not doing it right. Well, okay, fine. I've heard your opinions. I just don't think your advice is all that fucking good. And I don't think it's at all practical for me personally, because frankly, you don't, look, I'm a neurotic as fuck. I mean, emotionally, my brain is rubbish. It just doesn't work at all. I mean, I have to fight every day, you know, just to maintain some capacity to walk one step in front of the other in a straight line. I'm so wobbled and blighted by my own physical discomfort with existence. So your expectations are a little high, fucker. Anyway, time to let go of that. It's reactionary. No. I have to let go of more stuff? Alright, well, I don't need... it's not reactionary for me to critique the fact that you're just complaining that I'm somehow doing it in some non-bullshit-man way. So again, being your, whatever it is, ethical make-it-upperist, you've decided I should be using pastel colors. And I'm like, fuck you, why should I use pastels? No, serious person views argumentation that way. Well, again, I don't view it that way. I will argue that I think video is incredibly powerful, and I think text is getting incredibly boring. So, that's just my personal impression. I hate text now. I hate having to read shit. Go ahead, get somebody to read it fast. You know, the machine can read faster than me. Get a machine to read it and put it up as a video. And I'll take that even. Because I hate reading. Anyway. No serious person views argumentation that way. There's no driving taking place, period. Well, that's just stupid. I certainly have a strategy. I'm applying it to a destination, a goal. It's perfectly metaphorical, analogizable to driving a course. I'm attempting to find the best path through a morass of minefields and bullshit, and I'm trying not to get blown up before I can get there. And I'm trying to plow a path. Even I'm like the guy trying to go through the minefield, and he's marking his way and saying this is the way to get to the answer. And the answer is some sort of, in my opinion, I've said this in videos, you must have heard it, I believe you can manufacture statements, you can manufacture an argument in such a way that it is in fact more perfect, that it is quite convincing, and it convinces a maximum number of brains. They just read it and they say, I can't argue with that, that was just done so well. And in a way, I'm sort of looking for that. I would sort of say that consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, addiction was an effort to do that, that precious commodities controlled by crude forces, that these are statements and quotes that are powerful. Quotes have power in the world. So, fuck you. Yeah. Yeah, that's enough said on that. There's no driving. In case you haven't noticed, there's nothing at stake here on YouTube. Well, yes, I haven't noticed that nothing's at stake. And the more and more I have built this fucking 4,000, 5,000 video strong pile of a knowledge base, the more I see value in that, in this whole evolution of an argument, evolution of a process through this engagement. It illustrates what doesn't work, it illustrates what doesn't work, you know, but the arguments are there, and that there's value in that. So to say there's nothing at stake, I think it's just nonsense. Just as there's nothing at stake over the blogosphere. Well, again, I just fundamentally disagree that just like the civil rights movement, in my opinion, was substantially made by the line, judge a man based on the content of his character, not the color of his skin. Things like that were just so perfect and powerful, and that those things make movements, those things make power, and that's part of what I'm attempting to construct. None of us are debating Vladimir Putin or anyone of actual power. Yeah, well, pointing out the obvious is pointless. But there's no argument in place, or no, in my opinion, nothing to indicate that that will never happen, that this conversation will never get its seat on the public must deal with it board. I think it can and it will. I hope it gets there without somebody doing something crack shit insane. But it will get there. where nobody's having debates with other nobodies. But the debate is something. The debate is about the core of the meaning of existence on this stupid fucking, in this stupid universe, on this stupid planet. The core is the full flowering of the theory of evolution, in the sense of taking Darwin and expanding it to understand what does this mean. And it means a fucking hell of a lot. Even if the dozen or so YouTubers whose videos you're agitated by had suddenly been convinced of everything you say, nothing will change. Well, if I convince them, that will give illustration. That will demonstrate how convincing is done. And that power to convince will be able to be used on others and convince them. So once you show that you can make a bullet launcher, then launches the bullet straight and all that kind of stuff, then you've proven the theory and you've made yourself the power gun. So again, I just fundamentally disagree that there's no value in the conversation, there's no value in maturing this philosophy through this process of interaction with imbeciles. There is value in it. It's incredibly irritating and frustrating and annoying, but I think there is real value in it, and I think I've come up with valuable arguments. Even in this small argument, I've come up with valuable arguments. Even valuable ideas. Just the idea of saying that the definition of bad has included in it the idea that bad things can't be treated like non-things. If you treat the something that is bad as if it was nothing, then it can't be a bad. I think that's a valuable, powerful argument. I think it's one that's gonna haunt nihilists because they don't have an argument for that. And I think it will, that it will vibrate in their brain, and it will eventually cause them to walk funny. Wanna alleviate actual harm? Donate to Oxfam. Alright, I don't know what Oxfam is. I guess I have to look that up, but fuck you. Actual harm. I've made this argument before. Maybe you don't get it, but there's a difference between a band-aid and a cure. There's a difference between buying the world mosquito net and curing malaria. There's differences between these modes of asset or help. I'm arguing for finding the ultimate energy source, nuclear energy or something. I'm saying that there's a way to solve this problem with a cure, and that you don't have to do this actual harm thing in little tiny buckets of increments. So I'm saying I want to cure the disease. I don't want to treat the disease. I don't think treatment is our only option, and I'm kind of fully invested in curing. I would argue to you that I have treated, that I have alleviated actual harm, and you could say I haven't, but I would argue I have actually alleviated harm. I've converted people to vegetarianism, which is good for them and good for the environment, and I've convinced people to be quite cautious in how they view their reproductivity. So I think I have prevented actual harm. I did, simple. Well, I don't care. I mean, again, I don't know what Oxfam is, except it's a pretty stupid name. It goes back to the part of my post where I'm making the case for compartmentalizing by being an activist in the morning and a theorist in the evening. Yeah, well, this is like an argument you could have between Aquaman and Batman, right? Because Aquaman's active during the day because it's daylight and he can see and he can talk to the fishes, and at night maybe he sits around and writes on a piece of paper, I've got to be more fishy. And then I'm Batman, so yeah, during the day I make the Bat computer, I work on that, and I polish grease the poles and all that kind of shit, and I play around a little bit, and then at night I do my serious activism, because I'm Batman. Fuck you. His whole critique was basically a critique of this idea that somehow there's an incompatibility between being a theorist and being an activist. That you can't do both of these things, and that if you are going to do both of them, somehow you have to put on your Bruce Wayne suit to do the theory, and I put on my fucking, you know, whatever, neoprene super suit to do my activism. No. I think you can certainly blend the two into one thing. I think having the conversation is active, and in the conversation you develop theory. So again, that's all part of it. And again, you know, this is I'm saying I'm conceding a part of your point in the sense that I'm at the point where I think I have enough, I've collected enough weapons, and it's time to start the war. I mean, I'm at the point where, yeah, it's time to get just serious about, you know, killing this stupidity that's out there, metaphorically. You know, in some sort of decisive way where you're in the, you know, this whole idea of public exposure and all this kind of shit is running through my head. And I have to say that I'm scheming, and I don't like that, though. It's, no, it's kind of, because I was thinking about the, look, the fact is I am a future Nobel laureate. I am. I'm a future Nobel laureate. I'm just not there yet. And certainly you can use that title. You know, once you have that title, you're, you know, you got mega big balls. So, you know, I'm sure the system will break as soon as I'm a Nobel laureate. Then everybody will be throwing their Nobel laureate shit in the garbage can, saying that doesn't count for anything anymore. You know, you know, it's always like that, right? Even when you're like a kid, you know, the rules are always changing, right? As soon as you get the job where, hey, I got the better job now, all of a sudden that job means you have to wash the floors and close all the windows at night and, you know, something horrible, lick the owner's grandmother's vagina. I mean, you're like, holy shit, that's not a promotion. How come the job changes when I get it? How come when I get the good job turns into the shitty job? It seemed like that always happened. Anyway, the only reason you're settled on YouTube is because you're after eyeballs. I don't know what that, you know, of course you're after something to argue to. You're trying to yell at somebody. So yeah, I'm after something to yell at, to call an asshole, to say, fucking shape up, jackass. This isn't complicated. Fuck you. So yeah. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I mean, you know, you're going to phrase it these ways, pigeonhole, and I'm supposed to say, oh, gee, thanks for the pigeonhole. Because I'd argue it's more complicated than that. I'm trying to actualize a goal. So to say I'm just after eyeballs, I think is silly. But okay, go ahead, say that. So right there, the quest for exposure means you simultaneously engage in theory and activism, which has a habit of turning theory into pop theory. And it only happens if I do exactly what you say, which is placate people who don't understand the principles. So for the very thing that you're critiquing me for, you know, he doesn't like me telling the religious anti-natalist or the emotional anti-natalist to go fuck off. For the very thing he's critiquing me for, he's critiquing me. I mean, I can't win, right? I mean, this is quite obviously the thing I'm trying to prevent, is pop theory. I'm trying to prevent the complete perversion of the very substance of the theory. The theory is that suffering sucks, all right? Then you become an anti-natalist. You don't do it the other way around. You don't say, I'm an anti-natalist, and then, oh, suffering sucks? I didn't know that. That doesn't make any fucking sense. So yeah, I don't want it to be pop theoried into bullshit. Anti-natalism for the fun of it. Because anti-natalism is fun. Yeah, no, fuck that. Anti-natalist because it's emotionally gratifying. Fuck that. So again, I'm preventing the very thing you're saying I'm somehow not aware of, that there's this threat of your theory or your activism being turned into shit by a bunch of pop fucktards who are going to turn into a pet rock. Well, I'm stopping them from turning it into a pet rock. And you're critiquing me for it, you fucking asshole. Oh, Jesus. I mean, frankly, that's really dumb. Well, anti-bullshit man is often just fucking tons of bullshit, man. Anyway, the more sloganized the theory becomes, the better chance it has for being picked up by media outlets. Well, okay, that's true, but the slogan has to be something other than anti-natalism. It's fun as fuck. it has to be something like, suffering sucks, you're just a dupe to consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction. The DNA owns you, motherfucker, and the only thing that can save you is your brain. You have to actually use it for something other than to figure out how to squeeze your dick. Serious theories aren't taken in by that because we're ethical pluralists. Oh, fuck that one, right? Ethical pluralists. Ew. Does that ever give me a creepy feeling? Yeah. Oh, there's lots of right and wrong. Ways to be right and wrong. Wait a minute. I think there's a thing called perfect. And you can be imperfect. But you can't do perfect a lot of different ways. I don't think so. Anyway, serious theories aren't taken in by that because he's a serious theorist. He's serious. And I'm just, I'm just doing it as, some sort of recreation. Fuck you. Anyway, who values sound analysis as an end into itself. Well, I'm saying you can't really be doing sound analysis if you don't understand that there's nothing pluralist about qualitative scales, and that there really isn't. It's got to incrementally jump. It either makes the next level step or it doesn't. There's not steps going in all kinds of different directions. There's just one step higher. So I just think that's just bullshit. I don't think there's any plurality in ethics at all. You either get it more right or you get it more wrong, but you're not, there's no shortcuts. I don't want to see more pundit butchering I don't want to see some pundit butchering my theories, and neither do you. Well, that's unfortunately reality. So obviously right here on YouTube we have assholes butchering our theories. We get strawmanned all the time. So yeah, that's just a factor of argument. And the only way around that is to try to find mechanisms to up the level, which I'm trying to do with Vlogerdome and different ideas of forcing a debate into a more narrow filter that just doesn't allow people. They get penalized. They lose tokens, they lose money, they lose something if they resort to a straw man argument or a bullshit argument. If they start bringing up the non-existent God and telling me the non-existent God didn't tell me so it can't be true. They do bullshit like that. If you're interested in the ins and outs of this, go over to my post on moral particularism. No. Yeah, maybe later. Okay, yeah, maybe later I'll do that. Moral particularism, which basically means what? No principles. Well, no hard principles. So it means like suffering sucks, but no, it only sucks in all these qualified ways. It doesn't intrinsically and fundamentally suck. Or if it intrinsically and fundamentally sucks, it sucks in an atmosphere of convolution. And I would argue that no, there's no real particularism. It only sucks. The only thing that confuses the suckiness of suffering is the fact that it's sitting in a sea of fucking goddamn suck. And so all the other suck is sucking up the suck. And it's all suck compared to suck compared to suck compared to suck. It's all the suck chain. And so yeah, it's really hard to pull one suck out without affecting all these other sucks. But I mean, that's different. There's nothing in the principle that's particular. It's that the environment that the principle exists in is so unprincipled, you could almost argue. Alright. So, but anyway, I'm not, I think the principles are easily discerned. For the fundamental nature of our existence, we can understand what addiction is. We can understand that addictions are contrived by environmental circumstances. They have no real integrity as necessary or vital or any of that kind of shit, and that they can be easily modified in future varieties of the human organism. That our innate functionality can be completely different than our functionality. We can be born and created into Mr. Spock, or we can be born and created into Captain Crud. You know, and that's just the truth. You can be emotional assholes, or we can be people who revere and find dignity and grace and beauty and fun in getting answers correct, rather than lying. But this is the last, but for this last post, which you unfairly referred to as a rag, well, you say it's unfair, I'm just saying